In this video, we will be walking through some string functions, specifically concat and format, and we will be going over the round function, which is really a numerical function. So, SQL provides users with a variety of different types of functions. Some of these functions manipulate datetime data. Some of these functions manipulate string data. Some of these functions manipulate data of specialized types like latitude, longitude, JSON, and other types of data. While there are a variety of string functions that are available for us to use, we will specifically be taking a look at concat and format and see their specific uses. The concat function is very straightforward. It is very similar to the concatenate function that one might find in Microsoft Excel. The concat function in SQL takes two strings and concatenates them together to create one whole string. What's an example of that? Let's take the table the stock table. Obviously, in the stock table, we have a variety of different stocks, 16 specifically, with price, quantity, dividend, price earnings ratio, and the country of origin. Now, obviously, we know that the stock table is joined to the nation table based on NAT code, so I could just say and I see all the records from the joined table. Now, one operation I can perform is, for instance, group up based on nation name the value of stocks. And to do that, I would have to do something like and we can see that for each nation, we have the value of stocks. Now, I'm also going to multiply this by the exchange rate so that we have all of these in the same units. Because associated with nation, we also have an exchange rate, and so the value of all of this is in British pounds. Now, one thing we might want to consider is, well, this is a pound value, right? And if you're wondering how do we know that all of this is in pounds, if you take a look at the nation table, you will see that the UK has an exchange rate of 1, and everyone else is relative to that 1, right? And so if we multiply by the exchange rate, we're all converting, the value of the stock all to pounds. Now, the only way that we know this is pounds is based on the exchange rate. A better way might be to actually change some display information so that we can actually have it list out that this value is the value of the stocks in pounds. Now, the easy way to do that would be to have an alias and say as stock value in pounds. And so we change the calculation up here. Another thing that we could do is we could actually specify in pounds as part of this value depicted here. Now, that is where we can use the concat function. So just taking this query once again. So the way the concat function works is it goes around the values that you are going to concat. And you would specify what you want to concatenate. In this case, I want to concatenate the value of the stock with the term in pounds, right? Now, if I know which key presses and which key combinations gives me the pound symbol, I'd probably use that. But since I don't, I'm just going to specify in pounds at the end of the value. And once I do this, notice that in pounds shows up at the end of each of these values. Now, concatenate allows us to combine values with strings, strings with values, and so this can go before, it can come after. You can actually concatenate many such things together using the concat function. The next function, that's a string function, is a function called format. Format allows us to take a look at specifically numbers and allows us to determine or decide how we would like to format these numbers. Let me take the same query that we just saw, this, right? And instead of running the concat function on it, I want you to pay attention to the fact that this function has, this result of this function has a variety of numbers in the decimal, post the decimal spot, and we're not really sure, just a casual reading of it, which is the thousand separator, where the thousand separator is, and so on and so forth, hundreds, thousands, millions, and so on and so forth. And so one of the things that the format function does is it allows us to insert commas depending on whether we want the commas at the three spaces away, 4 spaces away, and so the way it works is we use the format function. Let's say format, and in this case we're going to surround this number, and put the parentheses of the format function around this sum value, and we're going to specify comma 3. When we run this, take a look at what happens. First of all, it formats the decimal to 3 decimal places, and after the 3 decimal places, it inserts a comma at the 3rd position of every number. And so we can read the first number as $946,430 and 684.48 cents. The second one is $97,000, $97,506 and 710 cents, and so on and so forth. So the format function allows us to format numbers based on the number of decimal places and commas we want. So we can specify numbers like 3, we can specify a number like 2 as well, giving us 2 decimal places, right? We can specify 4, giving us 4 decimal places. And it's inserting commas at the appropriate hundreds, thousands, million separator. And so that is the purpose of the format function. Now, keep in mind that the format function is a string function. Now, around this format function, if we want to throw concat around this, we could say concat in pounds as well. And so it's formatted, and we have the number, the string in pounds after this. Now, the round function is not a string function. The round function is a mathematical function. And it also performs rounding very similar to what the format function does, but the round function rounds the number. And so, again, working with the same calculation, right? Taking a look at nation name and the total value of stocks for each nation. What we can do with the round function is we can say round this number out. And if you just use a round function around the value of sum, and if we run this, notice we get the value rounded up to the closest decimal, right? And that's, the closest whole number. And if you added 1, we get the value rounded the first decimal. If we say round it to 2 decimal, we get the value rounded to the second decimal, so on and so forth. And around this, if you wanted to throw the concat function as well, we could use the concat function around the result of the rounded function as well. And so these are some functions that allow us to manipulate data and maybe present our results in a more kind of interesting manner, in a more presentable and professional manner. This concludes the walkthrough of string functions and including the round function. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you very much.